Hi everyone, today we're going to be trying out some hot new makeup, seeing how it applies, how it sits on the skin, how it wears throughout the day. We've got products from Natasha Denona, Hourglass, Milk Makeup, Vive, It Cosmetics, Huda Beauty, NARS, so we are going to get straight on with it because I am prepped and ready to go. If you are new here, hi, my name's Gemma. I upload new content on YouTube every single week. I would love it if at some point in this video you are finding it helpful. Please consider clicking on the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos like these. I've had a lot of comments in recent videos about my new hair colour and how much it suits me. I have not had anything done to my hair in 6 weeks. It is well overdue. As you can see, my roots are seriously coming through now. I was supposed to have a hairdresser's appointment last Friday, but my hairdresser's little girl was really poorly, so I'm going this week instead. So hopefully you'll all like the really new hair colour by the end of this week, because this one, it's not new. It's definitely not new. Maybe the light was just catching it differently last week. I have no idea. I've not done anything to my hair for a long time. So I'm just going to go about doing my makeup as I would normally do on a day-to-day basis. We're going to go straight in with the Milk Makeup Cush Brow Lamination Gel. Now, I usually use really inexpensive products on my brows. This was slightly more expensive, nothing to write home about, but more expensive than my usual go-to, which is the Got To Be Brows and Edges. See whether this has got as much hold as the Brows and Edges, and whether it holds my brows all day. So it's got a spoolie on the end and the product is invisible. I mean, I can't see it on the spoolie, so I'm gonna go back to front like I would usually. I do like this spoolie. It seems to grasp every single hair, which I like. It's also got a longer end and also a shorter side of the spoolie, so you can get really close to the skin. Oh yeah, I like this. It feels like it's a thicker product than the Schwarzkopf's, but time will tell. It does feel like I've got more product in my brow. It's less watery, less gel-like, and there's nothing to clear away. So this is definitely more convenient than my usual. So as well as not having my hair done for quite some time, I've also not been looking after my brows either. So my brows could do with not only a little bit of a trim, but also a prune as well. I have had no time whatsoever. I'm going to be taking a week or so off in the next couple of weeks to decorate my filming space to hopefully move into that. It's imminent, it really is, so I'm very excited. Super, super excited. Really like this. It's dry. There's a slight little bit of tackiness there, slight bit of stickiness, but it doesn't feel wet. And again, there's nothing to clean up. I think because this formula is slightly thicker in consistency, it hugs the brow hairs so nicely and makes the brow hairs also look thicker. So that is definitely something that my Got To Be does not do, because it's such a super thin, watery consistency, that one, and then dries down. This one isn't pushing my brow hairs all the way back to my skin, but I also like that. It's slightly different. They look more natural, and when I move my face, my skin moves with it, which sometimes this one doesn't do, and you get that little crinkly, unnatural effect with the Got To Be, whereas, I mean, this is doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised how much I like this, but I really do. So I finished my brows using my usual NYX Microbrow Pencil in the shade Ash Brown and NYX Lift and Snatch in the same shade. Everything went on so smoothly. In fact, it was slightly easier and less challenging than applying it over my usual Got To Be Brows and Edges, for the main reason that the Got To Be has to be completely dry, whereas the Milk Makeup product doesn't actually have to be completely dry. There is a slight waxy residue still in the brows. I don't mind that in the slightest, but if that's something that you don't like, this may be a product to avoid. And I do think they look slightly more natural. I do love finding a great brow product. Time will tell though if these do hold. I mean, they're not completely laminated back to the surface of the skin like the Got2b does, but I actually really like that. So I've also used a little bit of eyeshadow primer on my lids. I've used the P. Louise base in the shade 2.5, and I've covered over a few imperfections using my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in the shade Light 2, which is Vanilla. Let's dive into the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. This is not the first time that I've used this. In fact, I think this is the palette that I had on my eyes in my 5 products I can't live without video, and I got so many comments in that video about my eye makeup, and it was all this palette. So I'm going to try and recreate that look in this video today, but I want something quite muted and soft because the foundation I'm using is more of a skin tint, so it's nothing heavy duty. I don't want anything to overwhelm it. So we're going to use this today. It's just such a beautiful palette. I still haven't removed the protective film on the mirror, which is such a shame because it's such a well thought out palette. The mirrors are really chunky and really good quality. Great to take away with you on holiday as your mirror as well as your palette if you have the room to travel with quite a large palette. I always think these are really good quality but really good value for money palettes because you do get a lot for your money in here. 15 different shades, 5 are more metallic shimmers, and there are 10 mattes in this palette. 10. Which is always music to my ears. So I'm going to be quite boring and dip into this shade here. I say quite boring because I tend to do my eye makeup the same in every single video now. Sometimes different colours, but I do like the winged, more lifted look on the outer edge. So I'm going to take that colour, which is Taipu. No idea how to pronounce it. I'm probably pronouncing it the wrong way. And just going to go from the corner of the eye all the way up to the tip of the brow, and then go across and then blend that out with a fluffy brush. So there's a couple of must mentions with this palette. Number one, the shade range. I think it's beautiful, but a lot of these shades have yellowy undertones, and when placed on the eyes, which is obviously what this palette is designed for, can look like a 2-week-old bruise. So I need to mention that. If you've got a skin tone that's deeper than mine or a different undertone, that may not be a problem for you, but definitely it can be a problem for me. So if I feel like I'm getting into bruise territory, then I try to deepen it off with a shade that is slightly richer in undertone and don't have a problem. Blendability, especially for this shade that I've just used, can also sometimes be an issue. So it can cling to a damp portion of skin and be a little bit cumbersome to blend. So instead of allowing that to happen, I do like to powder my eyeshadow primer in place to make sure that it's slightly easier to blend. Never really had a problem with the Natasha Denona palette blendability before, and it's definitely not an issue. It's not a major problem, but with a couple of the shades I do find them to grab to the skin a little bit more than others. I'm gonna go into this bottom shade, which is just glorious. I mean, look at that, and pop that in the center. I'm only dabbing this on. I don't want masses of product, so I'm not swiping this on the lid. And do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to go into the top colour here, which is slightly more of a yellowy gold, and place that over the top just to dumb this down a little bit, but only a little bit. Just in that centre area there. Give it a little bit more pizzazz. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go and use this deep, rich brown and just create a little bit of a line and a wing on the outer edge. And then finally, just dust over the lid using that fluffy brush just to blend everything together, making sure there are no harsh edges. I do love a seamless blend. And that is where I'm going to leave it for the eye look. We're going to move on to skin. So I thought I'd go for it and buy the Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint. I'm really intrigued by this product, even though I'm not really into a sheer coverage anymore because my skin isn't perfect, but have covered over my imperfections already, so we're going to give it a good go. I've never had this on my skin before. I've swatched it. It does come in 18 shades, and those shades are versatile. It's better than the usual from Hourglass, so I'm glad that we've got a little bit of progress. But having said that, I am a little bit disappointed that this doesn't come in a neutral undertone in my level of shade. So I am usually between fair and light in shade, and in the light range there is no neutral. It's either warm or cool. So I've gone for warm. So this is shade 5. Now I am neutral, more warm dominant, so I'm hoping this is going to work for me. I'm going to pop a little bit on the back of my hand there and go in with a brush to begin with. I think would probably be the best bet for me, and work up from there. So let's just see what this is like to apply first, and I may apply a little bit of cream bronzer underneath. That's really nice. Okay. So that is really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my cream bronzer how I would normally, and then come back and apply this over the top. That is exactly what we're going to do. Let's do that. So I'm going to apply this around the areas that are slightly more cumbersome with my smaller brush, which is the Refa 35 brush, in between my brows, and then I'll go over the contoured areas. I really like this. This is a lot more coverage than I was expecting, but it looks like skin. I mean, it's not overly glowy, but it's definitely not matte either. It's one of those products that as soon as it hits the skin, I just know I like it. But we'll see how it covers over my imperfections. But it is beautiful. Again, slightly warmer than I would usually go for, but it's not orange. So that's a definite positive. So I have some redness on my chin, which it does cover over. I know this isn't going to cover over my melasma on my forehead. It is what it is. It's sheer coverage. I'm not going to hold it against the product. So I'm trying my best not to apply too much. I'm not getting into my usual habit thinking that I'm applying a medium coverage foundation, because this is definitely not medium coverage. I would say sheer to light. Very, very beautiful though, but I don't want to build this up too much because one, I'll waste the product and it is quite pricey. And if I wanted medium coverage, I should have gone for a different foundation. So yeah, I'm trying not to ruin it by applying too much. So I have quite a lot of dryness on my skin at the moment. You wouldn't know with this. There does look like to be a few light reflecting particles in this, not shimmery or glowy, just very, very skin-like, which I'm liking very, very much. So I'm loving the finish of this tint. I think it's beautiful, but there's no denying the difference in undertone. I mean, I know there's slightly a shade difference here, but the undertone, the warmth is radiating from my face, and I'm kicking myself now for not buying the fair neutral, knowing it would be too fair for my skin, but actually having the right undertone, I could have bronzed it up. And yeah, I'm kicking myself. I will purchase it in the fair neutral. Why have they not got a light neutral? Wonders never cease. I don't know. It's annoying. I'm going to put a little bit of colour corrector underneath my eyes. This is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector. I'm just going to blend that out and then we'll move on to a new concealer. So I managed to pick up the Bye Bye Dark Spots Concealer from IT Cosmetics. This may also be the wrong shade for me. Let's just keep all fingers crossed, shall we? I've gone for the shade Light Neutral 22. This comes with a little brush on the end. I actually thought it was a sponge from the images on the website, and it is totally not. It is the softest, most beautiful brush, and I really like that. This means that this is going to be a great product for on the go if you don't like getting your fingers dirty. So I'm not going to use it today. I'm waxing on about it. I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to pop a little bit of the product on the back of my hand and then do as I always do, warm the product on the tip of my finger and then go in underneath the eye. Oh, I think I can get away with this shade. This shade, it's not disastrous. Just warm that up a little bit. I like to massage this in with my fingers and then get a bit more product just over that area of darkness and leave that on there to sit and warm up before I blend that out. And then as per usual, I'm going to go in with a lighter shade of concealer just on this outer edge to clean things up and make things a lot crisper and give it that lifted effect. So once it's been on just for a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, just going to blend that out. It's really nice. So without the colour corrector on underneath, this would just give a medium coverage. I have worn this before for the day and was really happy with how it sat underneath my eyes. It didn't cling to any dryness. It lasted all day. But very much like the Lancome All Over Concealer, which is my ride or die, I don't think it's got enough coverage. So a colour corrector, if you're just using this concealer without mixing it in with another and making a concoction, I would say a colour corrector, for me anyway, is necessary. It looks very reflective. It doesn't dry down as matte as the Lancome All Over Concealer. So there is a slight glint to this, a slight wet look, which I'm not overly keen on, but the coverage is there. It's fine. I also would say that if you apply the smallest amount, you don't need to powder this in place. If you build it up like I've done today, I think powdering is necessary because after 5 or 10 minutes, I do notice a little bit of creasing around my more movable areas underneath my eye, but it's nothing to write home about and it does set down. But again, you do get that wet look, that more gleamy look, light reflecting look underneath the eye, which I think is incredibly pretty. It's just not what I'm used to on an everyday basis. It is nice though, it's definitely nice. So I've taken a bit of my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer in the shade 1.3G and just taken it right on that outer corner to sculpt the wing. And then I'm just going to set everything in place, which for me, slightly more flattering underneath my eyes because it's just dimming down that shine a little bit. Just going to dip back into the shade from the Yucca palette that we used earlier on and just go on that outer edge to blend everything together, make everything a bit more seamless and cohesive. Then we're going to apply a mascara that I am so super excited about. Let's move on. Here we have it, the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow Mascara. Huda Beauty have been smashing it recently, so I am eager to see whether this works for me as well as it does for everybody else, especially as I usually go for a waterproof mascara these days, so I don't keep on having to look in a mirror to see whether my mascara is smudging. And this, to my knowledge, is not waterproof, so we'll see how we get on. It's a pink, quite thick tube, and the applicator, although is quite thick, the hairs on the applicator wand are incredibly small. So let's see how this applies. I'm going to curl my lashes first, as I do always, and then get some of this on. Apprehensive but excited, I think, is the mood in this room right now. Okay, right, This is definitely a wow product. So 4 times I've gone over my lashes and each and every lash is already coated in the product. This doesn't half coat the lashes very, very quickly. From root to tip, it's quite volumizing pretty much straight away. I'm definitely going to put more than 1 coat on, but for the time being, I do think this is going to be faster than my usual mascara that I use on a daily basis. And my lashes aren't clumping together, which is always good to note. I'm usually applying my first coat for longer than I've just applied that, so I'm just going to give it a rest for a minute because I don't think they need any more product at this moment in time. I'm not as impressed with how my lashes look as I am with how quick and easy that was to do, because my lashes have already dropped the curl because, you know, it's not a waterproof mascara, and the only mascaras that actually hold a curl for me are waterproof ones. Oh, this is so fast to apply though. For anybody that is in a rush in a morning, you may want to give this a whirl. And I thought with the applicator one being so chunky, I'd end up getting this all over my upper lids and it'd be a little bit of a messy product. And actually, I've not got any on yet. There is still time. Very impressive. I'm going to go in with a second coat on the other side just to see whether we can build, even though, you know, building is not necessary with this mascara. But with the second coat, they are starting to clump together a little bit because the bristles on the applicator are so fine. They're not managing to keep them completely separated. So I am getting that clumpier, more volumized look, which I'm not mad at, but some people will be. So just be warned there. This is just wow. There is no denying. I'm not even going to pick fault with this mascara and say, well, you know, it's not waterproof. It's not waterproof. It doesn't say that it's going to be waterproof, but wow, the volume is immense. This knocks the MAC Stack, which is my current favourite, out of the park. Truly is an amazing mascara. Not one for my lower lashes though, I think that's just going to be a bit too much, so I am going to go ahead and put a different mascara on my lower lashes. So as per usual, I lined my lips using the Victoria Beckham Lip Definer in the shade 2, favourite shade. I've got a couple of new lip products to try out. The first one is from Vive, and I wore this to the theatre the other evening and loved it. Seriously loved it. I'm not actually sure what this product is called, and the lettering is so small. Satin Slip Lipstick. I think that's it. This is the shade 90, and it is a peachy neutral. So pretty. It's quite a satin lipstick, but it's not overly shiny on your lips. I'd say it goes on more like a matte lipstick without the drying. It's such a perfect peachy nude. I did bite my lip earlier on, so I have some raw lip in the centre, so if it's not clinging to that, it's not the lipstick's fault. It's my fault for being a bit hungry and trying to eat myself. I'm not quite sure what I was doing, but it's the perfect peachy nude. It's really quite simple looking. I just, you know, didn't put too much effort in, but don't I look fabulous? That sort of lipstick. It feels very nice on the lips, very comfortable, and it's actually quite long wearing for a satin lipstick as well. It's not drying in the slightest, in fact quite the opposite. This is really quite hydrating and feels silky smooth on the lips. I'm not applying this constantly, and major bonus for me, I'm not quite sure if it happens for you all the time with lipsticks, this doesn't congeal right at the inner portion of the lip and create a horrible line on the lips. I don't like that at all, but this one doesn't do that. Just lovely, really, really lovely. Let's move on to another lipstick, which is from NARS. This is the Afterglow Sensual Shine lipstick. You can wear this on its own, you can wear this as a topper. It's beautiful. I have the shade Dolce Vita. Oh. This is much more lightweight than the Vive lipstick. So if you're wanting something that you can hardly feel, that feels just like a balm on the lips, this is going to be more your cup of tea. It's also a lot shinier than the Vive product, which is more of a satin matte. This one definitely gives you that punch of hydration and comfort and just a warm hug to the lips. And even though I do have that portion of my lip which is raw, this one seems to cover it. Finishing this look off with a little bit of blush. No, I am not going to be applying 2 different blushes to my face today. However, I have ordered a couple of shades of the Afterglow liquid blush from NARS. I've got the shade Wanderlust, which I think is a mistake. I don't think I ordered the shade Wanderlust. It's like a lilac-y colour. I know it doesn't look lilac on the cheek, but I just don't think I would have ordered it. And also the shade Dolce Vita, which is the shade that I'm going to be applying today, to match the lips. So this comes in a nice packaging tube. Do we call this a tube? It's square. I'm not quite sure what we call it. Anyway, the packaging is lovely. I am going to pop this on the back of my hand. It looks like a lip gloss. It looks like this could be for cheek or lips. It's lovely, it's fresh, it's very loose, it's not very creamy, it's more liquidy. Taking my Refa 17 brush, just going to smudge that on the back of my hand first, just so I don't pick up too much product. And then stamp that on the cheek, just moving from side to side just to distribute that more evenly. Oh, this is nice. Look how pretty that is and how easy that was to blend. Now, I didn't go straight in on the cheek, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make when they first are applying a blush, is you go straight into the cheek and then it's difficult to blend out. I don't think you'd have that with this blush because it is so effortless to blend. But the problem with applying it straight to the cheek is you can apply too much, which I do all the time. Not necessarily with this blush, because this is the first time that I've used this one, but with most other blushes. So that's the final look for this video. Please let me know what you've thought about it in the comments section. I've liked a lot of the products that I've tried out today. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm a little bit unsure about the Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint, only because this is way too orange for me. It's too warm. I knew it was going to be too warm, even though I'm neutral, more verging, dominant, warm, but I've had to take it down my neck. I don't like doing that, especially when I'm wearing white. I did say I was going to try and get my correct shade. I'm not sure if my correct shade actually exists, because I would think I would be light neutral and they don't do one. So I don't know whether to buy another one of these and risk wasting my money. Let me know if you want me to try and get the right shade to feature in another video. If enough of you want me to do that, then I will definitely do that. I do think it looks really pretty, a little bit glowier than I would usually go for, and obviously less coverage than I would usually go for. And I do already own a lot of skin tints and tinted moisturizers that I love that already come in the correct shade. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. The stars of the show for me, the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow. I mean, it's definitely one coat is wow. 2 coats is mind-blowing. Be very careful of the clumping if you are going to try 2 coats. I would leave it a little bit longer in between coats if that is your preference, but I mean, goodness me, the volume is just unreal. Another product that I loved is the Milk Makeup Cush Brow Lamination Gel. I would say this goes on like a gel and then it feels like a wax. And this doesn't feel hard, it doesn't feel crusty. There is a slight bit of tackiness, a little bit of waxiness still on the surface of the skin. That does not offend me in the slightest. And Quite frankly, I think I've found my new favourite. It really is that good. I also love the two NARS products, especially the lip. You all thought I was going to say especially the blush, because usually I gravitate towards the blush. The blush is very, very nice, but I will be purchasing more of the lip product because it just feels beautiful on the lips, and the shine and the hydration. Gorgeous. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know what you thought about it in the comments section, as well as please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.